Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about breaking down big, complex topics into the essential insights you need to know.
So, have you ever wondered what the secret sauce is? What separates the companies that thrive from the ones that just fizzle out? Well, more often than not, it all comes down to one thing: management. It's kind of this invisible force that shapes everything, so let's really dive in and see what it's all about.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the core of management. Then we'll look at the difference between a manager and an entrepreneur, map out how organizations are actually put together, see how management has evolved from a science to an art, and finally, we'll peek into the future of leadership.
Okay, first things first, before we can talk about good or bad management, we need to agree on what we're even talking about. So, what is management, really?
You can think of it like this. Management is basically the engine that takes all the raw materials. We're talking ideas, money, people, and turns them into something valuable, like a great product or an amazing service. And the real trick is to do it both effectively, which means you're doing the right things, and efficiently, which means you're doing those things the right way.
And this image of the gears, it's a perfect way to visualize it. Management isn't just one skill, it's this complex machine that pulls from psychology, economics, you name it. It's always in motion, and it applies everywhere, from the tiniest startup to a massive global company. But the goal is always the same: make the gears turn to get results. According to the theorist Robert Katz, there's a pretty clear progression here. Look, you might start your career being an amazing programmer. That's a technical skill. But to lead a team of programmers, you've got to have human skills, right? Empathy, communication. And then to become the chief technology officer who sets the entire company's vision, that requires conceptual skills, the ability to see the whole board, not just the next move. All right, so we've got a handle on the what of management, but let's talk about the who. And that brings us to two really key roles that push business forward: the manager and the entrepreneur. They're not the same thing.
So here is the absolute critical difference. A manager, they're like a brilliant Formula One mechanic. Their job is to take this incredible engine that already exists and just tune it to perfection, making it run smoother, faster, and more efficiently. The entrepreneur, they're the inventor in the back garage, trying to build a totally new kind of engine, maybe one that doesn't even use gas. They're trying to change the whole game.
Exactly. Entrepreneurs get their energy from taking smart risks and blowing up the status quo. They're totally comfortable living in that zone of uncertainty because that's where new things are born. Managers, on the other hand, they excel at creating predictability and order. They perfect the systems that are already in place.
Okay, so whether you're that manager or that entrepreneur, you're not operating in a vacuum. You're working within an organizational structure. So let's pull up the blueprint and see how these things are actually built. Most companies are built in layers, kind of like this. Right at the core, you have your frontline managers. They're on the ground dealing with the daily grind. Then you have middle management, and these folks are crucial. They're the translators, taking the big picture strategy from the top and turning it into actual plans. And on the outer ring, you've got top management, the execs who are steering the entire ship and deciding where it's going long term. And of course, within all those layers, you have specialized departments. Each one is a critical piece of the whole puzzle. You've got marketing telling the world your story, finance making sure the bills get paid, operations actually building the thing, and R&D dreaming up what's coming next. None of it works unless they all work together. Now, it's easy to think this is how it's always been done, but not even close. The whole idea of management has gone through a massive evolution over the last 100 years or so. And this image really gets at the central question that has defined that history. Is management a hard science, all about process and mechanics, or is it an art, all about people and intuition? Well, the answer has really changed over time. Let's take a quick look. In the beginning, it was all very rigid, very scientific. Think stopwatches and assembly lines, all about efficiency. But then people started to realize, hey, wait a minute, we're dealing with human beings here. So the focus shifted to behavior and motivation. That brings us to today, where we have a much more flexible approach, seeing organizations as these complex, interconnected systems. So, if there's one big takeaway here, it's this. Modern management is a total blend. It's a hybrid. You absolutely need the science, the data, the processes, the analytical thinking. But you also need the art,
the ability to lead, to inspire, to connect with people on a human level. You gotta have both.
Okay, so that brings us to the really exciting part. What does all this mean for leaders right now and in the future? Let's look over the horizon. The world of work is just changing at a dizzying pace. Seriously, the skills that made you a great manager 10 years ago, they're already getting rusty. By 2025, which is right around the corner, a whole new set of priorities is going to define what it means to be a leader. We're seeing 4 huge trends just completely reshaping the landscape. First, AI isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's becoming a tool, a co-pilot for making decisions. Second, there's a huge shift to human-centric leadership that actually cares about employee well-being. Third, hybrid work? Yeah, that's not going away. It's just how we work now. And finally, sustainability, or ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It's not just a nice-to-have anymore. It's a core piece of strategy.
So the core message is really clear. The successful managers of tomorrow have to be incredibly adaptable. They need to blend those timeless skills, like great communication, with a real understanding of these powerful new trends. The future, for sure, belongs to the leaders who never stop learning. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're guiding a small team or launching a world-changing company. Those core principles of management, planning, organizing, leading, and adapting, they're more important than ever for navigating this crazy, exciting new world. And so that leaves us with this one last thought. In a world being totally reshaped by technology and new human expectations, the tools are changing, for sure, but the purpose of management, to build something meaningful with other people, that stays the same. The only real question left is, what kind of leader will you choose to be?